Evening, folks. Welcome back to The View for the first match day preview of the 2025-2026 Premier League season for Leeds United, which I'm very excited that we're now back properly talking about football. I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my co-host for the match day previews, Andrew Stats Dalton, who's had a pretty busy summer as well. So we'll check in with Stats, see how he is. He's got a new microphone. We've got good sound. So Stats, for you, mate.
I'm buzzing. It's been an awful long summer, hasn't it? I know I said on Tuesday night, it was May the 3rd that we last had a competitive game. We had the friendlies in obviously Stockholm, Germany, and elsewhere around the European globe. But we're ready. We're ready to go again. And Monday night under the lights. Very excited. Start of a bit of a new era at Ellen Road. Daniel Farke's kind of rebuilt the team, ready to go for the Premier League, and looking forward to game one, match day one, Ellen Road on Monday evening at 8:00.
Yeah, under the lights, a little bit special for Leeds. That nighttime atmosphere that we know we get from Ellen Road. Hopefully, we get a 91st minute winner to have absolute limbs on the opening day of the season. It's not an easy start for Leeds, though. Stats outside of the Everton game, which we got to fancy our chances to get something from that game. After that, it's Arsenal Newcastle, so it's not going to be an easy start. But these teams haven't all had perfect summers. Everton are a team in change this summer, and Newcastle have gone after every single one of their main targets and lost out on every single one of them, and now they're being mentioned with targets that little old us are being linked with it as well. So yeah, a big season of change for a lot of clubs. We're going to go through the lineups that we saw at the end of last season and will likely start this season as well. But that's big changes for all the teams heading into the season.
Yeah, and I think you look at the last 6 teams that have been promoted from the Championship have gone straight back down, and I think you've got to try and do something a little bit different to try and stay in the Premier League and try and upset the apple cart a little bit. And I think so far Leeds have built from the back, and we will talk about that very shortly. And there's a potential of a former Everton striker potentially coming through the door before the big kickoff on Monday evening. And I think you've got to try and sort of that chasm really between the top end of the Championship and the bottom of the Premier League is getting bigger and bigger. And if a team is going to try and stay up this year, it's got to be the year to do it. That I think a couple of sides, maybe potentially West Ham United and Wolves and potentially Brentford under Keith Andrews, who's not really had much top flight managerial experience, if any. Maybe 3 to look out for. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. That's the nature of the beast going into a new league. But why can't we stay up? We've got the crowd behind us. We'll have 38,000 screaming Leeds United supporters on Monday night. It'll be an absolute cracking atmosphere. And if you're in Everton's shoes, you probably don't want to play a newly promoted side away from home in your first game. They probably wanted a game at their new Hildkinson, have I pronounced that right? Stadium. I think we go there later next year. So, yeah, very much excited. Really looking forward to it. I'm really intrigued to see how the team goes. I think there have been aspects in the second half against Milan last time out in pre-season that things are starting to click. So, we're not the finished article. I don't think any team is going into the new campaign. And obviously, with the transfer deadline not at the end of August, personally, I would have liked the transfer window closed before the start of the season, because I think then you know what squad you've got for, but that's just me. But yeah, really excited, really looking forward to it. Got a huge smile on my face and buzzing to get going until we're 2-0 up after 10 minutes on Monday evening, and Jack Harrison scored one of them.
Well, yeah, we'll get to him in a few minutes, likely to be part of. I wanted to ask you real quick while we're on that topic. Momentum's important coming into the start of the season. Leeds have had a very strong preseason, haven't lost any games, and have kind of continued that momentum on from the back end of last season. How much stock do you put on that going into the start of a new campaign, especially one with in the Premier League, but also that Everton have had a really poor preseason? Does it mean anything?
It's so difficult to read anything into pre-season results. You look under the results under Bielsa in the first year that he was here, and I remember going to Forest Green Rovers back in July on a very sticky, muggy night in Gloucestershire. We won that game. I think it was 2-1 in the end, and I think Luke Ayling and Kemar Roos scored. And you wouldn't have known then the performance that we were going to get against Stoke City 4 or 5 weeks later. We just demolished Gary outside. So I think pre-season is all about fitness. I don't think you look into results. And as I said on Tuesday evening, Newcastle lost 6-1 against Leyton Orient on July 24th, 2009. 10 months later, they're getting 102 points. So I think it's just about building combinations, building shapes, the way you want to play, getting the tactics right, trying out new things. And I think you don't read too much into it. Yes, the performances have been improving game by game. And I think the proof now will be in the pudding against the Toffees on Monday night. And hopefully we don't come unstuck against them.
No, maybe, hopefully not. Hopefully. Just to point out, everyone's asking about Dominic Calvert. We're turning to a hell of a reactionary fan base all of a sudden. I'm not sure when we got so delicate about things. Just because Dominic Calvert-Lewin hasn't been announced by a fancy, flashy video doesn't mean he's not already a Leeds United player. There was talk that this transfer was all sorted yesterday. So just because they haven't put a Twitter video out doesn't mean he's not a Leeds player. So I would relax with the overreactions already on stuff, because people didn't want them yesterday. Now they're overreacting because we haven't seen a fancy video just yet. It'll happen when it happens, but it should be pointed out, and we'll get to it in more detail. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, like Jack Grealish, hasn't had a preseason, so it's very likely to be involved in that match anyway. So that will take time. We'll get to the team news as we get towards the back end of this. But yeah, just because you haven't seen him in a video doesn't mean he didn't sign at 10 o'clock this morning. So I wouldn't read too much into it at this point. And as I say, because of the lack of preseason, very unlikely that he will be involved. And definitely as a starting position at the weekends. That's nothing to read into this at all, is there?
Absolutely not, as far as I'm concerned. And I think the way Daniel Farke likes to integrate players, it might be even the Arsenal game or potentially the Newcastle game that Calvert-Lewin, should the signing all go through, be involved for. So, yeah, I'm not worried. I also think, and I have said this a lot in some of the WhatsApp groups, that I think social media has changed transfers, whether for the good or the bad. That there's a thirst. Yeah, probably agree with you. There's a thirst for reading it all the time. And when we sign this player, there's no links here, there's no links there. The 49ers work in silence. And that's the way it should be. I remember you probably yourself coming home from school and reading teletext that would sign someone. So and it was so different back in the late 90s and early, or even getting a pager. And I remember being at school getting a pager, and David Batty signed, and it just came through on the signature on the pager. David Batty signed for $4.5 million for Newcastle United, and that's how it was back in those days. Before the days of social media, before the days of Twitter, it was all very, very different. So yeah, I'm relaxed. I've been relaxed with all the transfers, and once there's news to announce the social media team, showing your age, I'm showing my age. That's Marty, thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel that as well.
Yeah, but they were the good old days. But it's different times of working. I'm not panicking. When it'll be ready to be announced, I'm absolutely certain the club will announce it. So that probably for another day, but no panic from my side whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't think we need to be worried about that at this point. As I say, it's a new player coming in at this stage with no preseason under his belt. But to answer Smarty's question, he's asking here, is Dominic Calvert-Lewin a replacement for Joseph and Joffy, leaving you think rather than... I think he's a replacement for Joseph, Joffy and Pat Bamford. I think that's what he's coming in to do. The fact that there's already additional links this week with another striker, whether it's Ioannidis or whether it's... They view Okafor maybe as a striker as well, because he can play there and has played there quite a lot in his career, although he would rather be a left-sided player. There's all that to take into consideration as well. But I go back to the information that came out from the club a couple of weeks ago when Leeds said they wanted 2 strikers. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is one. We'll see who the second one is. So I still believe someone's going to come out. And I was going to say about the age thing, I'm feeling it myself. I remember way back when I was babysitting my nephews, my cousins at the time. And I remember having to sit in my granny's house. The 2 lads were in bed. And I remember turning on the TV, and the 5 o'clock news came on. Leeds had signed Lee Sharp for Manchester United, and I was very excited about that. Now my excitement didn't last very long because did he. But I don't think it's necessarily for the good. But it's every 5 minutes, any news, and it'll happen when it happens. It'll come out when it comes out. Yeah, I wouldn't. And as Wayne is saying here, social media is what it is. 75%. None of it's true. All agent work. And that's exactly what it is. I mean, Fabrizio Romano's made a career out of agent talk and being connected to agents and putting rumors out and stuff like that. So yeah, I have no issue with this. I have no issue with Dominic Calvert-Lewin coming in at all. We will have an Everton fan on. I'm doing a recording with him tonight. A guy called Matt Turnbull, who's a Scouser, lives over here, lives pretty close to me, a player I coached before, but is involved with the FAI in Ireland as well. He's coming on to talk about the Everton game, which will go out as a video over the weekend as part of the warm-up. And then as well, I asked him about Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and he said, you're getting a good player if you can keep him fit. He said the way Sean Dyche played didn't suit him at all, but if you look at him under Ancelotti, he was phenomenal for them. But he is a very strong player in terms of hold-up play, and he thinks we're getting a decent player. So I'll give you that. You get more information directly from the mouth of an Everton fan who's not a little bit salty on Twitter. So we'll see how that one goes. But let's get into this and let's talk a little bit about the game that's coming up. We have no form guides to talk about. We normally do the last 5 matches. That's going to take us 5 weeks to get to that point in the Premier League. But we should probably talk a bit about the end of the season for Everton as well. Leeds have gone up as champions, so we've got momentum behind our back. But if you look at Everton, they finished 13th last season, and that might suggest that they had a decent enough season. The sacking of Sean Dyche and the replacement of David Moyes definitely changed the trajectory of their season. But if you look at their last 5 games, they won 3 of their last 5 games. And that 15 points pushed them way up the table above the likes of Tottenham Hotspur, who finished 4th bottom and who didn't win any of their remaining 5 games. Same with Manchester United as well. So kind of inflated it a little bit towards the back end of the season. But they didn't finish the season strong. They've lost an awful lot of players. We'll go through that in a few seconds as well. But they've lost a ton of players. They brought a couple in, but they're not the finished article by a long stretch either. And whether they can see an upturn in their form starting a Premier League season, or whether they'll see more of the same that they had under Sean Dyche over the last couple of years, still remains to be seen. But what are your thoughts on Everton?
I think if you look at it, the end of the season last year, take Tottenham and Man United a bit out of the equation, because once they got into the Europa League final, those two sides just gave up towards the back of the season. I think you look at Tottenham's last couple of games of the season, they were pretty poor. I know they won the Europa League through a scrappy goal, and it probably fluctuates the league table a little bit. And Everton, I think the writing was always on the wall for Sean Dyche at times. His style wasn't great at Burnley, but was effective. And then David Moyes comes in, and sometimes a manager just works at a club. Sometimes a manager just fits at a football club. And David Moyes came in at Everton, March 2002, and then got the top job at Old Trafford in the start of 2013-14 season on the recommendation of Sir Alex Ferguson. Was given 8 months at Old Trafford, never worked there. Went Sociedad, Sunderland and West Ham. I thought it was very unlucky at West Ham. If you look at the position West Ham have been in since David Moyes has left, since sort of, I think it was Pellegrini and Graham Potter as well there. They've not really hit the heights at the London Stadium. And I think Everton will be fine. I think what's interesting with Everton is this new stadium, with the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Goodison Park had so much character. It was a wonderful ground to go and watch football. It was a wonderful ground to go and play football in. And it was on a real amphitheatre as well on the blue half of Merseyside. And it'll be very interesting to see how they adapt very quickly. Now, I think the one thing in Everton's favour is the 3 that are coming up, with a lot of the bookies are the favourites to go back down. And I also think, not that I think Leeds will go back down. I think Leeds will probably finish 17th. But I think with Everton, they've just got to be careful that they need to get the monkey off the back, getting that first win at the new stadium, because sometimes if you don't get that first win at the new ground, it can come a bit of a milestone around your neck a little bit. And I think they've got the right manager. They've brought in 2 very good players the last couple of weeks in Kinnan Dewsbury Hall, who always scores against Leeds, and Jack Grealish, as we all know about. And Jack Grealish is always good for a bit of banter with Leeds fans, as he has done with Manchester City at Ellen Road in the past. So yeah, it's not going to be an easy game. David Moyes is a very good manager. He's been there, done that. He's managed over 1,000 games in football, whether it be at Everton, Preston, Sunderland, West Ham, wherever. And he's a very wily manager. He's David. He's got a very tactical nous about him. He's never lost a game at Ellen Road. Seasoned, yeah, he's a very seasoned professional. Very good, like that. And it won't be an easy game, but I'm hoping that Leeds come out all guns blazing. There's a lot of positivity, should I say, around the place at the moment, around the city of Leeds. You saw the parades, you saw the celebrations, you saw 50,000 fans at the Aviva Stadium, including your good self last time out.
That was amazing.
So yeah, look, I don't think it's going to be an easy game. No game in the Premier League is an easy game, and you've got to earn the right to win that game. But from an Everton perspective, I think as long as they're not involved in a relegation battle, that'll be a good season for them. I think under David Moyes, they'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think they'll probably edge up towards mid-table, but hopefully we can get there as well. Although I would take 17 right now, straight out of the bat. If someone said 17th, that guarantees another season in the Premier League. I take it right now, and it books the trend. You mentioned the bookies, and we may as well talk about Optus supercomputers as well. The Optus supercomputer, which will have to be revised every single week as the season goes on, because it's always wrong. It's not that supercomputer. They have Leeds finishing in 19th, slightly one position above bottom side Sunderland, who, if you let the online chat make you believe, have signed the best team in world football this summer. Gary Neville reckons all 3 sides will go back down from the overlap. Ian Wright says, unfortunately, he thinks the same, but he would like Leeds and Sunderland to stay in the Premier League. He believes they're Premier League level sides. And Roy Keane also believes all 3 will go down, but he comes at it from the perspective of there's an imbalance in football right now, an unfair imbalance in football right now. He talked about the financial losses that Leeds are allowed. Leeds are allowed to lose 90 million over 3 years, where every other club in the Premier League can lose well, bar the promoted sides, can lose 150 million over 3 years. So one hand very firmly tied behind your back before you even get started. Then if you look at Jamie Carragher, he said Leeds will stay up. He believes Leeds will be the only one to book that trend. But every single bookie has Leeds as the odds-on favourites to go down. But they all reckon Burnley bottom, Sunderland second bottom, Leeds in 18th, third bottom. I personally don't think we will. I think there's other teams in there that should be worried about. I think Wolves, Brentford are going to be interesting to see how they adapt. Bournemouth have lost their entire backline and their goalkeeper, which were very strong. And they've just today lost Luis Sinisterra on loan for the year, having barely kicked the ball in 2 seasons since he left Leeds to go to them. He's been injured all the time. But we got £25 million for him, so at least we got something out of that deal. But yeah, if you go by statistics, if you go by the bookies odds, everyone has us to favourites to go down. But I'm okay with that stats. I like a point to prove. I like having a little bit of a bit between our teeth. And I think Daniel Farke does as well. And a lot of this Leeds team have an awful lot to prove. There are players in that squad who believe they're Premier League level players. We've got a captain who hasn't had a consistent stint in the Premier League. And Ethan Ampadu will want to prove that he's a Premier League level captain, along with the rest of that team. Joe Piru chomping at the bit to show everyone what he can do as a Premier League level striker as well. Come back leaner, fitter, sharper than he went away. So all of that shows that this Leeds team has a bit more bite to them. And then the players we brought in were definitely showing a more physical side going into next season.
Yeah, and I like the way the bookies have got as favourites to go down. I've absolutely no issue with that at all. And you can see why, because you've got to try and book the trend. And I think you've listed 3 or 4 sides there. Brentford is a bit of an elephant in the room under Leeds lover Keith Andrews, when he's been on Sky Sports. He's never managed a game at any level, and especially at Premier League level. He's got big.
Talks a great game, though.
He does. It's all right talking a great game. You've now got to walk the walk at the G-Tech, and Brentford have done great over the last few years. And replacing Thomas Frank is a big shoes to fill. So I'm intrigued to see how they go. Bournemouth, as you rightly say, have sold nearly everyone by the kitchen sink. And I had to say, I did have a bit of a wry smile when Luis Sinisterra transfer went through today. I bet by the sounds of things that he's never really kicked a ball at
just about, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one to keep an eye on is when we do play them is what kind of reaction Taylor Adams gets after he kind of left in acrimonious circumstances back at the end of the 2022-2023 campaign.
Trying to sue it, didn't he?
I think, I always say that the Premier League is split into 3. You've got your top level, your top 6, 7 teams, then your middle teams, and then you've got 6 teams battling to stay in the Premier League. And I think that'll probably happen again this season. Obviously, you know, Sunderland, Leeds, and Burnley, the 3 that have come up. West Ham, I think, will be down there. Wolves, I think, will be down there, and Brentford will be down there. And I think Leeds might just stay up because of the ones that will go down. The team that I think will finish above, I think will be Wolves. I think Vitor Pereira is under a lot of pressure. They've lost Mateus Cunha, the star striker. I think Aït-Nouri's gone to Manchester City prior to the Club World Cup that took place in America. So, yeah, I think Leeds have got a chance. And you've got to believe they've got a chance. You can't go into a season all defeatist thinking, we're going to get relegated straight away, because if you did that, there'd be no point playing football. And for me, these players, I'm sure, will lap it up playing in the Premier League. Ethan Ampadu never really had a go at it. Sheffield United. Jadon Bogle had a disappointing season with Sheffield United. Joel Piro's, we don't know how he's going to be in the Premier League. But I think Leeds have bought well. I know they've certainly bought from the back. I know we'll go through the transfers very shortly. But you've got to believe they've got a chance, because if a side is going to step, it's got to be this season. And if it doesn't happen this season, I don't think it'll ever happen. And I think it'll just make a mockery that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
Yeah, and this is where I sit on this. Like the 49ers have a huge amount invested in this. If they get this wrong, they lose that investment. Like, they will lose investors. This won't work for them. So if they ever have any hope of making money out of this deal to buy Leeds United, they need them to be a success and they need to move up the table. The first step in that is establishing yourself as a Premier League side, and that seems to be what they're trying to do. They've taken the advice of previous Premier League managers. They've looked at algorithms and statistics around what's needed to maintain a position in the Premier League, and they've decided to go for physicality. But they're not all just physical. There's some very nice footballers in there. Anton Stack against AC Milan, against a very strong AC Milan central midfield, by the way, looked very, very good, not only in his physicalness and his ability to win balls back, but his football as well was tidy at the best of times as well. So there's a lot of good in there. But if we have a look at this stats, we look at the Everton side and the right-hand side first. They've released Ashley Young, Asmir Begovic, Joe Virginia, and Abdoulaye Doucouré. The ends of loans are Jack Harrison, Jesper Lindstrom, Ola Mangala, and Armando Broja, and they sold Jason Metcalf. That's all they're out. That's a lot of exits of Will Club and a lot of experience going out of the club at the same time. They've brought in Alcaraz. Well, they've made Alcaraz permanent. We should say that more so than bringing him in. He was there last year. They brought in Barry from Villarreal, Mark Travers coming in as a backup goalkeeper, Asnu coming in from Bayern Munich, unproven entity. Then you've got Dewsbury Hall, who I don't always think has been brilliant against Leeds. He has a knack at scoring a goal, but he's never necessarily been a player that's dictated the game. And you've Jack Grealish from Manchester City. And again, I say this, I don't believe Jack Grealish starts that game. I think he's maybe on the bench. So if I look back at his numbers, he started 7 games last season for Manchester City. He only played 20 in total of the full season. And in pre-season, he turned up for 0 games, played no matches, and wasn't part of Manchester City's first team training. So it was very much training on his own. And this is where I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin for us comes into that equation as well. I don't think they're going to be involved in the game that much. Maybe a cameo debut towards the end of it. But I don't think David Moyes is the kind of manager that will put a player like Jack Grealish in from the starting lineup at Elland Road with a lot of pressure on him to deliver with 0 games under his belt this summer at all and no match sharpness. That's going to take a little bit of time. So if you want to get a player injured, play him when he's not match sharp and expect him to run around all day. What are your thoughts on the business that they've done and the exits this summer, Stats?
Just from what you said there, I'll be absolutely astounded if Jack Grealish plays on Monday night. He needs to build up his fitness. He'll probably be on the bench, if anything. Now, you look there, Ashley Young, I think he's gone to Ipswich, I believe. Is that right?
I believe so,
I think he's gone for season. I think he's 40 now, Ashley Young, so he's still got it. They've got rid of 2 goalkeepers in Asmir Begovic and João Virginia. Mark Choice has obviously come in. Abdul Khoury has been released. Obviously, as you rightly say, Jack Harrison's come back to Elland Road. Brocha's gone out some. I don't know. He's gone to Burnley, I believe. Armando Broja, I think, on loan for a season. Mangala and Lundstrom probably might miss, and they have done some good business. I think Alcaraz also on a permanent sign is a decent signing. Tiemo Barry, I must admit, I don't know too much about, and the same as Adam Asnu. Either, and I think Dewsbury Hall's probably a solid player for if you want to be in that sort of mid-table, that mid-table sort of part of the table. And Jack Grealish, I actually like Jack Grealish as a footballer, as a person. And I know when he's come to Elland Road, he's always had a lot of banter about him. He's actually a very nice guy.
I like him. And he turned his back on Ireland, and I still like him.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I know Jerry would say that as well this week. Earlier on in the pod, and I actually like him as a person as well. But
he's a good guy.
They probably need a striker as well. Obviously, Calvert-Lewin is gone as well from Everton, and obviously could end up at Elland Road in the next couple of days or so. So they're probably lacking a little bit. We're lacking a striker up front. But as I've said earlier, the transfer window is still open to the 31st of August, and it's now the 14th of August.
14th, 2.5 weeks.
Exactly, and I think I'd be interested to see what the Everton fans' opinions are. Are they on Twitter every day, refreshing Twitter every 5 minutes for news, refreshing all the social media for news every 5 minutes? So I think they've done some good business, but I'm certain that David Moyes will want more from that perspective, especially probably a 9 and probably a 10 up top to put the sort of pièce de résistance, so to say, for the Toffeeman for this season.
A little bit as well. Interesting with Fulham as well. Marco Silva making comments today. They've only signed 1 player this summer. Marco Silva has come out publicly and said we've not been active enough. So Fulham could be in trouble as well. And as we saw with our final 2 seasons in the Premier League, if you don't strengthen your squad every single year, you could drop massively down that table very, very quickly. So, it's important to get them. It's important to get them right. Yes, someone's pointed out Dominic Calvert-Lewin should be on the Everton side of that. He's not yet a Leeds player officially, so he's not on the Leeds side just yet. Harrison's not on the Leeds side because he was a Leeds player. He was contracted to Leeds United, so technically he's been on Leeds' books. So nothing new there at all. But it's interesting. But I want to talk about this as well. These are the lineups that finished last season. So the final game of the season for both sides. And there'll be a lot of change in both of these sides' stats. Jordan Pickford, Ashley Young. Young is gone. Milenko is still there. Michael Keane there and will likely play because, as has been said, Braithwaite is injured. Jake O'Brien would like to be in that side as well. Joe Gardner's there. Idris Tegay is there. And Dye's been playing all summer, but he could be playing in a more advanced role. They don't seem to have a striker on their books at the moment. Carlos Alcaraz played in that side. Jack Harrison now back with Leeds. And Beto has been told this week that he can go. So they've already decided he's out of their plans. So they're going to have a lot of change in that side. As I said before, there's experience has left it. James Tarkowski will obviously be somewhere involved in that squad as well. least favourite footballers in English football, will be there and likely trying to cause problems. But Leeds have got a big few boys themselves that can handle them. But and then you look at the Leeds side stats. What are your thoughts on the Leeds side that finished the season versus what potentially could start on Monday night?
Well, we'll go obviously here in position order. Carl Darlow, as we kind of said off air, will probably start because
I think he might.
Pierre, he's not had much first team football, has he, in the summer? Obviously, played 45 minutes against AC Milan, looked solid against AC Milan, and he's probably building up his fitness. And he might be probably ready for the trip to the Emirates in a week or so's time. So I probably think Darlow will start. Sam Byram's a really interesting one because we don't know what the fitness levels of Jayden Bogle's like. He's got his press conference tomorrow lunchtime, as Daniel Farke referred to the season. If Bogle doesn't make it, I think I'd like to see Sam Byram start. Schmidt grew into the game against AC Milan. You just think if he's got Dewsbury Hall against him...
There was defensive weaknesses there, getting caught by being twisted and turned. I know what people think about Sam Byram. You might not get an awful lot going forward, but at least you'll be defensively sound with him there.
Yeah, and that's not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to give Leeds the best opportunity to try and win this game. The defensive two will be Pascal Struijk and Joe Rodon, and that's because Jacob Biol is suspended for. Is he suspended for one game? Biol,
one game,
I believe. So he'll be back for Arsenal, and left back will be Gabriel Goodmanson, who I think has impressed in pre-season, has got better as the season's gone. Obviously, Junior Firpo didn't feature in the game against Plymouth Argyle last day of the season. Moving on to sort of the midfield, in my opinion.
Stats, just for the chat's getting confused there. This is not a predicted lineup. This is the teams that finished last season, the final game of the season, versus what we think it will look like on Monday night. Sorry.
Yes. So I would say, obviously, Goodmanson will play on Monday night, left back. The midfield three, from what you can see here, I think you had the midfield two really then, didn't you? Because obviously Ampadu was centre half. You had Gruev and Tanaka. I think, obviously, Ampadu will start on Monday. Anton Stack has to start on Monday because he's been he was brilliant at the Aviva on Saturday afternoon. And then I think, do you go with those two? And then do you have your two wingers who will potentially be, I think Nonce will probably start. Solomon's obviously gone back to Tottenham, potentially could come back to Leeds before the end of the window. So I think Dan James will start there. Now, it's interesting whether he goes with what he did here. I don't see Aronson starting. I think Aronson will probably come off the bench. Does he go Piru in that number 10 role? And if he does that, he goes in the Metro up front. But if you do that, you're then leaving yourself short with attacking options on the bench, and you're left with Harry Gray as your probably only attacking option. So he's got decisions to make, whether you go your three in midfield. And if you do that, personally, I would go Ampadu, Tanaka and Stack, and have Sean Longstaff on the bench, and then you have Joe Piru up front. So he's got options there. I think in midfield, Jay, that we've got so many options there. We could probably name two ends in midfield. It's just that, as you rightly say, on air and off air, we just need that last little bit of the jigsaw and get that number 9 in. Whether it probably won't be ahead of the Everton game, because I think there's a deadline, isn't there, to get someone in. And if it is Calvert-Lewin, there's no chance he features on Monday evening due to fitness levels. So yeah, he's got options there. We just need that final missing piece of the jigsaw, and I think we really are ready to go. But the cards have been dealt with, and there's some good players there that want to prove themselves in the Premier League.
Yeah, there is. And I go back to that. We've got a manager who needs to prove now that after being backed in a transfer window, it's not finished yet, but he has been backed so far, that he can do it in the Premier League and that he's not just a promotion specialist. I think you said that during the week as well. He needs to prove that he's not just a promotion specialist manager, that he can do it at this level as well. You've got a captain who wants to prove that he's the captain. You've got Joe Rodon who wants to prove the Spurs made a mistake. You got Jayden Bogle who wants to show that last time out with Sheffield United, he wasn't the weak link in that side. You got new players coming in who want to establish themselves and get into World Cup squads at the end of the season. And then you've got players like Joe Piru, who's going to want to make sure everyone knows, I should be the first choice striker. You're all talking about a new striker. I'm your new striker. I'm the Premier League level that Leeds have been looking for. So when you bring all of that into the equation, you should have a side that all have got something to prove here as well, even before the cherry on top is added as well. So yeah, we'll have to see how that one goes. But I think we're likely to see a 3 in the middle based on pre-season. Normally, I would say once the season kicks off, the manager reverts to type and goes 4-2-3-1. But he hasn't played it in any game. And in the bigger matches, especially against AC Milan, the final game, he went with that 4-3-3. And that 3-man midfield, if they need to be more expansive, I think, and a little bit more attacking, I think you see how Tanaka come into that midfield with Ampadu and Stack. And I think if they need to sit back maybe against an Arsenal and Newcastle, I think you see Sean Longstaff come in and replace Tanaka in those games. So I think he's very much building up different profiles of a team depending on the game that they go into.
Yeah, and that's where sort of the Farke factor comes in a little bit, that he'll know the type of opposition that Arsenal's a bit of a free hit because we're probably not expected to go to the Emirates and get 3 points. Everton at home is probably different and probably just tweak the tactics a little bit. So I'm also intrigued to see how Farke does in the Premier League. I know that his record at Norwich hasn't been great, but he's never really been backed at Carrow Road. It's a little bit different, and I can't wait to get going on Monday evening, and I'm looking forward to it. And I actually think Leeds will probably get the 3 points on Monday.
Yeah, I hope so. I did mention Ilya Groove, who's also, by the way, had a very good preseason. Ilya Groove looks very tidy when he's coming in preseason. As Ben Locke said, and it's a great quote from Ben Locke. Lockie said, Ilya Groove gets stick from fans for stuff that he's not supposed to do.
Yes.
He gets stick for not being progressive, despite the fact that that's not his job. He's a defensive midfielder, and that's all he's there to do, is to break things up and stop things, which I think he does very well. And I think he has a part to play in this side, especially with that 3 in the middle. You need more options, and having Longstaff and Groove there means you can refresh that up if you need to a little bit, or sit a bit deeper if you need to. So yeah, great shout, Steve, on Groove as well. So yeah, that's pretty much where we are with this. I talked about Calvert-Lewin. He'll be in if he's in. If he's not, he's not. I don't think he plays anyway. And yeah, I don't think Jack Grealish plays either, although he might come off the bench. And then it's just, as match reviews go or previews go, we're kind of shooting in the dark on this one, because there's so much change this summer. We don't really know how everyone's going to get on. But yeah, we will have a warm-up video out before the weekend, or Saturday morning early, so you can check that out as well. We have an interview with Matt Turnbull, who's an Everton fan, who I'm going to be interviewing shortly to get that ready for the weekend. So you can check that out as well. And we'll see where we go from here. And as everyone has been saying, who knows? Maybe it's a Jack Harrison cross for Dominic Calvert-Lewin header to give Leeds 3 points on the opening day of the season. Maybe not. We'll see. Stats, what's your gut feeling? Win?
2-1. Last minute winner. Jack Harrison cross, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I'm kidding. 2-1 Leeds. Joel Puri winner.
Yeah, I'm going for a 1-1 draw. I'd like a win. Yeah. I think a steady 1-1 to start, but I'm on the more optimistic side of a 1-1. Maybe nick a 2-1. But well, I conceded all. We've been very solid at the back this summer against decent sides as well. So we've only conceded 1 to AC Milan. We only conceded 1 to Villarreal, both Champions League sides. So maybe not our European sides. We'll see. Anyway, folks, massive thanks as always for supporting the channel. You can check out today's news video on the feed somewhere, and then I'm back tomorrow morning for more Leeds news, and hopefully by that stage we'll see Dominic Calvert-Lewin in a white shirt, and maybe some more news on Noah Okafor if that one gets any closer, but fingers crossed on that one. I do really rate that player. Go check out his stuff online if you haven't seen him. But yeah, that's it for me. Stats, thanks very much as always. I'll talk to you soon, folks. See you. Bye.